Right, welcome back to episode 6 of the Reptile Chronicles podcast with myself and Ken Visions. So today we're talking to Jay from RDJ Reptiles. Loads of different topics to talk about. So like what animals has in his collection, what RDJ Reptiles is all about. And yeah, let's just bring him on and yeah. Hello.
Hello. First of all, cheers.
So
cheers to the sunshine, and we're indoors.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, the sun's just gone in our way, so yeah, trying to get some drinking.
Excellent.
So how are you?
Yeah, no, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Yeah, just adjusting to doing night work, which is always good fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. How are you doing?
Yeah, good mate. Just planning the new additions to the garden and stuff like that. The new planning to do the new reptile house in the garden.
Nice.
So planning some walking enclosures for Diesel and the new addition coming soon. But
excellent.
Just doing planning. It's like a lot of monies at the moment, so we're trying to not cut corners, but just trying to find the easiest ways.
Yeah.
We were looking on Facebook earlier for like patio doors and stuff like that, because you can just find them on Facebook
all the
time. So yeah.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, I'm trying to find stuff cheaper as I can, really, but if not, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's an expensive hobby.
Oh, yeah, it's not the cheapest.
No. So before we get into it, we're going to just do a series of I got 2 questions really, just to get your feel of things. So the first question is, snakes or lizards?
Snakes.
Snakes. And mantids or tarantulas?
Tarantulas.
Yeah, I'm the same. Mantids are alright. It's a bit quick for me, but yeah. Anyway, so
I've had them and they're interesting, but it's just tarantulas.
Yeah, they're interesting, but you can't really do much with them. So
exactly.
All right. So someone sent in a question. I don't know. I forgot who it was, but this is a question. So what started RDJ Reptiles?
So RDJ Reptiles actually started as an Instagram page that myself and my oldest nephew started. It was kind of an idea between the two of us. I ended up being forced to take some time off work for an injury. So I had 4 months to sort of kill. And he just sort of said, look, let's just spitball a couple of ideas, something to keep you busy. What about if we start a page about all of the reptiles that we've got? And I think we had between the two houses 20, predominantly most of them at mine. And then it just sort of evolved from there. My wife decided that she was like, well, actually, we do the shows for the reptile charity that we volunteer at. Why don't we do it under our own name? And everyone knows once the boss says it's okay, the floodgates open and off you go. So yeah, it wasn't initially started in the way of a company.
Yeah.
But once the idea got started, there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff. As you said, like when you build reptile rooms, you start going, right, okay, I need to make sure I've got the right type of animals. Let's have a look at what other reptiles people use for shows and stuff like that. We spoke to the National Centre of Reptile Welfare, where we volunteer. Spoke to Chris Newman, who's the director there and a good friend. Sort of said to him, look, this is what we're thinking about doing. What sort of advice would you give us? And his first one was make sure you get multiple of the same species, so then you can rest them when you do a show. You can go, right, I'm not using the same ball pythons, 2-3 events on the trot.
Yeah, no.
So, and because you said multiple species, my head's like, excellent, right? 5 royal pythons, 5 corns, 5 beardies, and you start going, okay, yeah. and before you know it, it's just stupid amounts. But it's making sure you just get the right information beforehand. So I know, like yourself, Andrew, Ben, Paul, it's always the right information before you do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just making sure we had all of that. We did the research. What type of insurance do we need? We go to the council, right? Council come round, council do their bit. We didn't know you can actually pay for a pre-inspection assessment. So we actually had a lady contact us and she was like, right, these are the bits that you will need. So this is what help I can give you. And she was really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, really good. She was like, reptiles aren't my niche, not by any stretch, but this is what I know. Okay. And, I just worked with her and just helped her fill in the blanks, to be fair.
Oh, fair enough, yeah. Sometimes councils can be brilliant, sometimes they can be absolute pains in the ass, but it just depends where you live, right? So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, I was looking at applying for, I was looking at doing what you're doing now, but like where we live, because it's a major city, there's a lot of loopholes you got to jump through. So.
It's the one thing that I've been speaking to a lot of other people. I know a couple of people from up north who do similar to what we do. So Lou from Lulabelle's Jungles, Naomi from Animal Teach, they're all up north. And I was chatting to them about their sort of journey that they've done with their local authority. And theirs are so much more strict than just Medway's. But then if I go to Kent, which is actually Medway's inside Kent Council, but they run separate, their ways of doing it are completely different. Yeah. So what I don't understand is why is one council setting out different guidelines to another council when they're all dealing with the same stuff.
Tell me about
it. It is just one of those things that you face when you do something like going for the animal activity license.
Yeah, and this is the next thing I wanted to talk about. So obviously the animal activity license is, like I said, some places are cheaper than others.
Yes.
And I was looking at mine. So the application fee from where I live is £100. No, not £100. So £1,000 for the application, just on its own.
No.
Yeah, I think no. I don't know. So, apologies, let me recorrect that. So no, the DWA application was £1,000. I think. Let me look it up. I think it was £1,000. Bear with me. Yeah, because
I was going to say the DWA license is normally quite expensive, but the one for the animal activity license, it was, I think the most I've heard somebody say was about £300 odd.
I think that might have been it. Yeah, maybe. I think definitely the DWA was definitely £1,000 application fee. Definitely. Animal activity license.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's not something that we would look into, the DWA, sadly.
Yeah. Oh my god. What's the actual name of it? Is it Animals for Expeditions or that?
And animal activity license or animals for exhibition license. It depends what council you've got.
There it is. So, where's the bloody? Yeah. So sorry, sorry guys. So my bad. So the application here is £206 with an £87 on top of that as well. So yeah, nearly £300.
Mad.
And then obviously
that's crazy.
DWA, I looked yesterday. I was going to look at it. So yeah, it's £1,000, and then every animal you add on is another application fee on top of that as well.
Yep.
So I get why they do it and why it's so expensive. So just no one can just go and do it. Do you know what I mean? So
you say that though, there are still people that will go and do it without the DWA license.
Yeah, I know. There's people that do that, but. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't agree in keeping big things. I agree though. I think that big snake should be on DWA also, but for the right people.
Oh, completely.
Like if you can own one, then own one. But anyone could just go. You say go and buy a retic or go buy a berm, or do you know what I mean? You can just walk in the shop and buy a croc monitor if you got the right size enclosure. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I just like I don't even see my video last week. I went to a shop and there was like this croc monitor in there, and the guy was like, "If you got the money, you could take it today." Like my missus just looked at me and went, like, "Yeah, definitely not."
Seriously, that's brilliant. You're just going out peppers, lettuce, microwave meal, croc monitor, enclosure. Yeah, fuck it, let's just do it.
Yeah, go through the door with a croc monitor on my shoulder. Yeah, this is Barry. Like, but no, yeah, it's crazy. I think that like you said with the license and stuff like that. Like you can have a big snake, but you have to have a license for like say a Cuvius caiman, which only grows like a certain size. Do you know what I mean? And again, they're dangerous. I get that the crocodiles are dangerous, but still, a big snake can be dangerous too.
So we've got one of our Burmese pythons. He's reaching just about 15 foot, I think. And I mean, he's. I know people say puppy dog tame. I don't know why we refer to them as puppy dogs, but he's just stupidly good. He's absolutely amazing. His previous owner, a friend of mine, did such a good job with handling him. He's just awesome. He's not on the dangerous wildlife because he's just a constrictor. But then I've got a baby hognose snake, which is this big. And if I took that to a show, I would have to have a DWA license because he's rear fang venomous. And you're sort of like, well, hang on.
I know.
You know, you try and work it out and you go, that doesn't make sense. But I think that's where the laws or the local authorities aren't quite catching up with reptile keeping. And when they do, you know, as I said, the local authority, they're absolutely brilliant. But when they're quoting to me about vivarium setups, they're quoting from the FBH guidelines.
Yeah, I know.
And they're fantastic. Sid James, who did them, is an absolute whiz with numbers. And he is a reptile keeper. So he's the best person to speak to. But then when they come in and tell me that I need a 6x4x8 tall arboreal enclosure for my carpet python that's that big, I'm like, if I put him in that, I'm going to lose him. And they're like, oh, but that's what it says in the guidelines. I'm like, yeah, eventually. If I got it now, I'd never see him.
Yeah, end goal. Yeah, like at the moment, my diamond python is in, because again, is this right?
Yeah.
It's in a 30, 30, 45 at the moment, right? Just for the moment, because again, like you said, lose a snake in the enclosure. It would, you know what I mean? It would never find his water bottle. You're trying to get the snake established before it gets bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's one of them things, really, isn't it? Like, yeah, you got the guidelines and the set lines, but again, that's for the end goal of the animal, not the start goal. So, like they say with lizards, it's like 4 times snout to vent in it with lizards on the FBH. So they say obviously the average bearded dragon's snout to vent is what? I go feet, so it's about what? 12 inches. And so yeah, it would be 4 foot. So yeah, it works out. But then but when you look on the FBA's website and the guidelines, they don't have anything for large monitor species.
No.
So like if I ever wanted to use, you know, diesel for like education, there would be no guidelines for the animal.
No. I know that Sid's been doing lots of work on it. But obviously I mean he's juggling balls as much as everyone.
Yeah.
But there are bits for lizards, but I'm not sure if it's on, like, you know, monitors and, you know, black throat monitors, stuff like that.
Yeah, I know there's stuff for savannas on there, but again, I would say savannas are more on the medium size of monitor, not the larger size of monitor.
Oh,
Yeah, like I've noticed a lot. Like obviously, because I got baby Shrek upstairs, and
Yep.
I've noticed how like calmer he's getting now. He's been there a long time. As when I
Hmm.
first got him, he was a right prick. Do you know what I mean? And
But do you know what? I always talk about Voldemort, who's my Savannah monitor, and he's absolutely amazing now. I take him to kids shows. He does private handling sessions. When I first saw him, all of 2, 3 years ago, he was at the Reptile Centre, and he was labelled as really aggressive, like
yeah,
dangerous. And I just said to Chris, I said, "Do you know what? If nobody's got him, I fancy a bit of a challenge." So
yeah,
I got the set up for him, brought him home, and he's one of my favourite animals. I mean, they're all favourites. It's hard to pick, but
yeah,
when you're doing a show and you have young children who want to handle and touch a dinosaur, you go,
yeah,
ta-da! There you
yeah,
go. And just being able to say to them that a couple of years back he was a cock. But now you do the work with them and you show them that there is, humans aren't to be hated. You show them respect, they give you respect. You have the odd days where you don't want to talk to each other. It happens.
yeah,
But on the whole, you can rehabilitate and re-educate the animal to
yeah,
not just be aggressive.
yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah. So we took in. Yeah, you've seen Steve the Aki. So that he was a hand into our reptile shop, and we took him in. First of all,
Hmm.
when we first seen him, I took a nibble on my partner's finger in the shop, and that's when we thought, it's all right, he'll be fine. And he's fine now because he's got his large
Yeah.
like enclosure he lives in. He's just loving life, mate. I mean, he gets fed when he gets
Yeah.
fed, he gets watered, he gets treats now and again. And you know what? As much as I like to say it, he's happy. Do you know what I mean? All left to their own devices half the time, and they're just happy. As long as you respect their space, they respect yours.
Oh, completely. So our little Aki, she got me on my thumb, which was lovely because it was like right in the crease of your thumb by your nail. So I had to man it out because Lara was standing with me, but that did make me shed a bit of a tear. But I actually got her out, the Aki, not the wife. And like she was climbing around and she was showing a lot of interest in like my eye and my eyelids, mate. She bit my eyelid, and oh my, like I can't say what I said, but like she's like hanging off of my eyelid. I'm like, come on, babe, come on, let go. Yep, yep. And then she bit my thumb. I was like, mate, that absolutely smart.
Yeah.
So, advice for anyone who's got an Aki: if it stops showing interest in your eyes, just calmly put it back because that ain't nice. It's not good.
No. But yeah, so like again, like with my animals, like, I'll get them out and I like, give them the check over and stuff like that, make sure they're okay. But other than that, mate, they just left to their own devices, and like if I'm
Mm.
maintaining, they want to come out, they just come out. Like I ain't bothered. So
Oh, so where obviously where we do the animal activities and education. So
it's probably
obviously their
different.
setups.
Probably different for you.
Yeah, so their setups have got to be suitable and functional as well.
Yeah.
Trying to find. We've got a mossy tailed gecko that's absolutely amazing. He's an absolute Jekyll and Hyde. But his setup is, I don't want to say bioactive because it's not. It's naturalistic.
Yeah.
But I need to be able to get him out. I can't start pulling all the plants and everything out just to find him and go, right, there you go, plonk, a couple of hours, and then bring him back and put him back in again.
Yeah, it just depends on the animal, doesn't it? And so
You know, go
yeah.
on.
So sorry, go on to that now. So the next question was, I think this was my partner actually. So what animals do you have in your collection?
Right. Okay. So I think at the moment, I think we're about 46.
Okay.
So not all separate species. So I've got a 4-stack here, which has got leopard geckos in it. We've got 3 bearded dragons, a hognose, a chihuahua gecko, Pac-Man frog, pixie frog, crested gecko, and that's this room. It's unreal. Tegu,
Voldemort.
Tegu carpet python, Voldemort. We've got 4 royal pythons, 2 boa constrictors, and one of them's a dwarf. We've got the reticulated python, the super dwarf golden child.
Nice.
She's just had a massive upgrade to her enclosure.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Do you know what? The company that did it is, if you want to spend money on it, Casco Pets, and that's not a plug or anything at all. They are just absolutely brilliant. They supply all the stuff for pets at home. They do veterinary stuff. They do. They're just everywhere, and they're absolutely amazing.
I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Aki Monitor, Burmese pythons, and then we've got a veiled chameleon and 2 panther chameleons.
Nice.
So we just took in a male panther chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got quite a few. I call them barnacles, but you know, like when they get like them odd little like growth bits on them. Yeah. So he's got a couple of them. So we're trying to treat them at the moment, but they don't really do him any harm. Yeah. We've got Ziggy the iguana, who's outside at the moment, sunning himself. Soul Cutter Tortoise, who's outside sunning himself. And then anybody who follows us already probably would have seen that we've got meerkats.
Yeah, your 2 meerkats are amazing. Are they definitely yours now?
They are definitely ours. We've had the thumbs up from the local authority to say that they can't see any reason why we shouldn't have them. They're CCTV'd up. They've got everything they need in there. It's all fully sealed. It's a separate unit to the house, so there's no way that snakes or anything could mix with them.
Yeah.
It's all double bolted, double gated, everything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, they're happy with that. So hopefully, I'm toying with the idea of doing a 24-hour charity stay in with a meerkat.
Okay.
So I've just got to sort out the logistics, but I'm thinking about doing 24 hours in with the meerkats, just to help raise money for the National Centre of Reptile Welfare. Because
if you want me to come and do it with you, I'll come and do it as well.
Bunk beds.
Yeah, step brothers.
Yeah, but you know, if we did that, Ben would be there, and then Riddler would turn up late, and it's just too much. But yeah, so I'm toying with the idea about that. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do it or not, but it's just one of those brain moments where you sit there and go, So yeah, I might do that.
Yeah, so I just launched a new t-shirt shop online, and I'm gonna say 50% of my profits will be going to the National Centre of Reptile Welfare. I'll say here now.
Oh, you diamond, you absolute diamond.
Profits and donations that I get through the shop will go to them directly.
Oh, they will love you for that. That is absolutely amazing. Have you seen all what's happened with the company that helps with supporting the reptile centre?
No, I don't think so.
So there's a pets company, not Pets at Home. It's like a charity that supports the reptile centre, and somehow somebody's lost £90 million somewhere.
Lost.
I mean, I've checked under my desk, I've checked my underwear drawer, it ain't there.
Danielle. Oh, she's gone out. I was just checking.
I was going to say.
Is he put in the dishwasher? I don't know. It might be in the dishwasher. I don't know.
No, because that's money laundering. That's money laundering, and you're not allowed to do that. But so what gets me is that they've lost it, and they go, "Oh yeah, sorry." Yeah, so they're a big donator towards the NCRW. So not that anything that anybody does would be able to recover that money, but it just means that little jesters like yourself, where you're donating 50% of all the merch to them, it's just going to mean so much more.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah. Like, I know they do
So,
a lot of animals, so we're out there and we'd be absolutely screwed, mate. So I think, like, if anyone can donate, just do it. Like, you know, you can even donate, like, you know, what's it, a litre is £2, like a pint in the pub. Do you know what I mean? Like,
they're starting, so you can start up like a monthly donation to like the subscription things that everybody's doing nowadays. They do a service where if you have a reptile, so something that will live for a long time, like a tortoise, you can basically leave it in your will. You leave a chunk of money connected to that tortoise, and if you pass away, the reptile centre will take your animal on and look after it until its dying day, and use the money that you've put aside to do that. So you know that when you're gone, your reptile will be looked after. Because we all know that, like, your nan's mum's sister has a tortoise, and then 100 years down the line, they're all gone, and you go, "I've got this tortoise now.
Yeah.
What do I do with it?" And you know, 2 generations back, you might have been bothered, but now you're like, "I live in a flat in London.
Yeah, tortoise.
What am I going to do with it now?" So at least you know you can take it somewhere, and they look after them. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, you know, they'll really appreciate that. They really will.
Yeah, so that's the plan. So if you're listening, guys, cop that merch, because half of it goes to them and half of it will go to the animals. But yeah, mostly it will go to, you know, the centre, because, you know,
Super.
Yeah, brilliant. So I have the next question was for myself, actually. So who is involved with RDJ Reptiles as a whole collective?
On the whole, so RDJ is Roella, Daisy, and Jay. Yeah. So that's me, my wife, and my daughter. Because at the end of the day, it started majority with our collection. I've then got my 2 nephews, Rowan and Rory, my sister-in-law Beck, my mother-in-law Pam. Then I've got the cousins Scott and Rich, who help, and then I've got family friends Ellie and Millie, who help. We've then got other supporters as well, who help with like a lot of sharing our bits and pieces. So Kerry from KMC Exotics, stuff like that. So they're all local people. They're all family, which is the main thing, because I didn't want to get people that aren't family to come and do it, because I know my family. You know, it's wonderful working with family, but then, you know, working with my nephews, I can look at them and go, "Stop being a cock." You know, whereas I can't do that with an employee or a volunteer. So you know, it has its advantages. But you know, just having such a good network around you, the term involved could be, you know, broadened. You know, yourself, Ben, Andrew, Riddler, sorry, Paul, you know, all these people, the Reptile Centre, they've all been involved and all given support to us to get to where we are now.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the closest of sense, it is family. But then in a broader sense, it is very much the reptile or herpetological group that you make when you meet lots of people and you chat, you share information and tidbits and advice.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Well, I don't think without you guys, I'd probably, you know, well, there's the whole reason I started the social media is just to get my life and my the expression how I keep my animals out there.
Mm.
Try and help other people, as I say. You know what I mean? Like you got these new things popping up now, like educate and don't berate, which is a good, brilliant thing. I
Oh,
admire.
awesome.
And
Absolutely awesome.
So like I said, with my stuff, I just do it. So just put it out there for my experiences. And if anyone wants to watch it, anyone wants to watch it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not fussed about gaining millions of followers. Like if people come across my stuff, it's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? But again, this is my way, really.
I mean, so we do Facebook. So my wife deals with the Facebook bit because I despise Facebook. So I'll post bits and pieces, but I don't generally manage it. That's her thing. So you've got a closed group of people, so people can share their bits and pieces. If they've got questions they want to ask, they can do that, and then they're not going to be like educate, don't berate. You're not going to be looked at and go, oh, what stupid question's that?
Yeah, no, yeah.
It is a very safe space for people to ask those questions. Then we have our business page, which other businesses can tag and all that. So again, we always post, like, if we've got any events coming up, you can follow the page and you can see where we are. Yeah. So we've actually had people come to all of our events because we've posted them, and we're like, oh yeah, you're right, guys, hi. And they're like, yeah, oh, can I handle? Yeah, come through. So that's fantastic. Seeing regular people come back is just brilliant. They're like, oh, I thought I'd come and see what animals you've got this time. Oh, this one's new. You're like, yeah, go for it. Then you've got the Instagram page, which I tend to do because I'm not a serious person. I like to have a bit of a laugh and be witty, and I can't help that. So the Instagram page is very much just sort of like the funnier side of it. And then you've got the younger people in our DJs, so my nephews, then his girlfriend and her sister, my daughter. They've got a TikTok page called The Kids of RDJ. So that's very much just for them to do. So it's their own little thing, so they can try and grow that for themselves. So then hopefully when, obviously, the end of the line, when you get bigger and you sort of go, right, okay, this is where I want to get to, I can go, right, you've got experience of doing all this social media. There's my password. Crack on.
I'm retiring. Goodbye.
That's it. Yeah. Retirement at 40 years old, 40 years time. So yeah, it is just a thing. I mean, I've tried posting videos on YouTube, and it's not really something that I've put effort into because, as you've said, it's not for, it's not for making sure I've got lots of followers or anything. It's for, this is what we're doing. If you like it, sweet. If you don't, off you pop.
Yeah.
So it is just one of those things.
Yeah. So obviously, like I said, again, my stuff at the podcast, it's just for a chit chat. My videos, just my daily, my weekly vlogs, mate. Like I don't really do educational and or the care guides and stuff like that. The only one I did do was obviously the one with the water monitor because again, it's a very neat animal, and I think that people should be educated on the bigger lizards. Again,
100%. You get it so many times when you do like a weekend. You work a weekend down at the Reptile Centre. You get somebody come in with this big box, and you're like, "Hi, can I help there?" And they're like, "Yeah, I've got this royal python," and you're like, "Uh huh." They go, "I bought it 4 years ago, but it's now like 11 foot long." Clearly, that's not a royal python, but okay. And it is. They go, "Oh, I just went to a shop and they said it should be in a 4-foot enclosure, but it's wrapped around the enclosure 3 times, and I don't know why it's got so big. I only feed it once every 2 months." And you go, "Because it's not a royal python." But my question is, we walk around with these really powerful computers or mobile phones in our pocket, and we have the power of the internet in our hands, and still we go to Facebook and we join a Royal Python Owners UK group and go, well, if it's in there, it's got to be gospel.
Yeah, it's another thing. Like going back to saying, obviously the shop sold it as a Royal Python. Like, I don't.
No, I know, but it's like you said earlier on. Oh yeah, I could have come away with a croc monitor on the day. I can't even get a mattress. I can't even get a double mattress to take away on the same day, and you can get a croc monitor.
Yeah, and like again, this is what I mean. Like one of the most dangerous reptiles in the hobby, and just walk out with it.
So intelligent,
mate. I would honestly
this,
bet my bottom dollar that it'd be more intelligent than fucking Albert Einstein. Do you know what I mean?
it is. They are. You can literally see the intelligence in their eyes,
Yeah,
and you can see the brain whirring as they're doing bits. It's fucking awesome.
mate. I was literally stood literally like the glass, like it was 4-wheel glass. I was looking for it, and you could see the eyes like working like this, yeah, and it's thinking like, and like you see in the video, trying to open the glass with his hands, like
Yeah.
Reptiles as a whole, not just croc monitors. Every reptile, like every lizard I've got, every snake I've got upstairs, they know how the glass moves now. They know how the glass door opens. They're all trying to nuzzle the door open with whether it's the bearded dragon glass. Because they're not strong enough, they can't move it. But again, I say this, Diesel did this the other day. I left the door open a good 2 mil by mistake, right? Hands up, my mistake. And I went to the toilet, went downstairs. I heard some rustling in my bathroom, and lo and behold, he was in my bath. Do you know what I mean? Again, because now he's calmed down a bit more, I could just put him back in. But if that was like 6 months ago, he's a right arsehole, mate. Do you know what I mean?
You would have come out with like arms like me when I deal with dragging the iguana in.
And yeah, so like some people think like these animals are like thick as shit, but they're not. Like,
so I mean, okay. So how long have you had reptiles for?
So for myself, I've been keeping it on and off for 16 years.
Right, 16 years. How many escapees have you had in 16 years?
Two escapees.
Right, 2 in 16 years. So I've had snakes for about 5 years, and in 24 hours, I had 2 decide to be an absolute bellend and get out.
Yeah, mate. So I am.
And literally all it was the vents were sealed, and one of them decided that he'd figured out that if he actually tugs on the wire for the T5 light, he can actually pull the vent.
Yeah. So so remember, guys, just time of recording. It's Sunday, the 12th of May. About an hour ago, it was sunny, and now it's raining in my garden.
Hang on. Yeah, no, it's still good in mine. Sorry.
That's quite nice. So yeah, so we about a month ago we went on holiday for a week to Cornwall, right? And the night before I went, I was doing the rounds. I was feeding everyone off, making sure everyone was fed, and I usually feed the snakes in the evening before I go to bed. So anyway, I went upstairs, I fed all the snakes, went to feed Rodney, my rat snake, and look, lo and behold, he was nowhere to be seen. Right. So
And it's a rat snake.
I've gone through with the dustpan. I took all the soil out of it, all the substrate. I took the hides out. Lo and behold, nothing in there. And I looked up into the corner, and the vent, I swear to God, it was like that much out. And he slipped through the back. And I was like, oh, well, I can't do nothing now because I'm going on holiday in the morning. So it's okay. The door, there's a sealed door in the room. Shut the door, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So I was watching the neighbours get their washing in, and the pissing rain. It's funny. So yeah, so I come back and I was like, oh, okay, so still haven't found him. I left him like mice on the floor, and then my dad came every day because he was checking on the animals, and he hadn't been taken. And anyway, I came back on holiday and I went to use the Henry Hoover, and it wasn't working. And I emptied it before I left, and I was like, okay. So anyway, I took the top on. Lo and behold, I seen him, but he was in the pipe of the Hoover the whole time.
Really?
Yeah, and then like I opened the lid, he came out, and I put him back in. I got for now at the moment. I've got him in back in his vib. I've like silicone all the vents so they stay shut.
Yeah.
For now, it was a bit of a like. He was fine. He was warm because again, the reptile room ambient is 26 degrees, and with rat snakes, you don't really need it that hot. So we were lucky that it was Burmese python. Like, you wouldn't really miss a Burmese python. But you know what I mean? You get that general logistic.
I mean, if you did miss a Burmese python, you definitely need to go to Specsavers.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah. So I've had 2 escapees in 16 years, and I think I'm quite lucky for that. Like I know some people have loads of escapees. Oh, tell a lie. Well, what really escapee? I think he just got out. I was trying to feed my cane toad Nigel, and again he's like this big, and he decided to just hop out of his tub and go for a run down the stairs. It's what frogs do, mate. Around, but
I mean, we had Lar come up and she fed the bearded dragons, and Daisy decided to shout downstairs, so she went downstairs to deal with Daisy, came back upstairs, and the Viv was open for Freya, our female, and our young male Mimikyu, and both of them are just looking at the open Viv like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I? And if it was any other lizard, if it was Voldemort or Oreo the Tegu, they'd be like straight out.
Gone.
But it's just the fact that those two just sort of chilling there, like, yeah, you know what? It's nice, cool.
Yeah,
brilliant.
It's different. Like obviously, like with Steve, he doesn't really because again he's above Gus, so it's okay. Because I got Steve above Gus. Gus is always on. He's always been on the floor in the reptile room, so he likes it on the floor. I open his tank. He runs out and runs around the room. I chuck a few locusts down. He chases them around, loves it. Steve ain't fussed, mate. Like you open the door and he waits for you to tongue feed him. He don't like chasing his food because he's lazy. But I still throw him in there anyway because again it's enrichment for them. You try and change at the moment because I obviously like I said in the video, I ain't paying for a pump and everything at the moment for a tiny little storage container full of water. I just empty it and clean it. So again, twice a day I have to empty that. Sometimes once a day at least, twice a day sometimes. And I clean it, and he likes to sit in the bowl and go to the bathroom. Like he never likes to. So like I'm sat there, like I'll throw the bowl back up with the shower head, and he's just sitting there and let it fill up, and I put it back in. It's nice, but but whenever I open that glass, mate, Diesel always wants to come out, which is fine. The wild, I've done research, and they traverse loads of area in the wild. So now he's got a bit bigger. I've just let him because again, like I've had to take his feet off my sofa because he likes to go under there. So I've taken the feet off my sofa. I just let him run around my house now. As long as all the doors are shut, it doesn't really matter. But recently I've brought my rabbits indoors because again we've got a really bad problem with foxes in our area.
Okay, yeah.
Our rabbits indoors now and for the rest of the year just to see how it gets on. I don't like rabbits. Not really a big fan of them. So yeah, we've stopped letting Diesel roam around downstairs now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the rabbits are way bigger than him in a minute, but I don't want him to rip a rabbits to pieces. So.
Oh, you know what? You know, give it half the chance. You'll probably give it a go.
Yeah. So
and that's the last thing you want to do is you come home from holiday or from a day at work, and then suddenly you got like Mozart or whatever, Andy Warhol all up your wall, and you're like, what's going on there?
Rabbits hanging up the wall, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want another topic I want to talk about actually, and I think you might talk about it as well. So, what are your thoughts on grow tents, and are they beneficial for reptiles, species dependent?
Yeah, I like this. I like this one. Nearly as good as is bioactive good for the animals or not?
We can talk about
Oh, okay, that's fine. All right, excellent. Let's poke the bear. Okay, so some of them, yes. So if you've got certain animals that require a higher humidity, I can see them being beneficial. Anyone who's tried sleeping in a tent on a hot day knows it's sweaty in there. So I can see it being beneficial for them, but you have to also take into account that we've got people that have snakes in wooden enclosures that get out. We have people that have lizards in wooden enclosures that get out, and then you're going to go, hey, here's a flimsy bit of plastic. Let's put an animal in that.
Yeah.
I know some people have done it and they have done it successfully.
But again,
a good friend.
It depends on the actual animal itself, not the
exactly.
It depends on the attitude of that animal.
But you could have, people say, "Oh, well, what about snakes? Because they don't have claws or anything to rip the plastic apart." But then, if a snake wants to get through a sewn zip, it'll get through it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You think about these snakes have got hundreds of thousands of muscles in their body, and you're going to put that up against a little bit of stitching and go, quit in. So yes, I can see it working for geckos, tokay geckos, stuff like that.
Frogs as well, like your amphibians, like your hotter.
Frogs, newts, stuff like that. I can see it working for them. I could even see like chameleons going in there.
Yeah.
But I think if you were to do, you could probably do a royal in there, maybe. I wouldn't put a corn or anything smaller than that because they're too thin. But anything bigger, like boas, retics, burms, I wouldn't put them in there because I have to think of the safety of the animal at first, but then also the safety of everybody else that is in my house.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It does depend. As I said, I know people that have done them successfully. I know Lou's done one. A good friend of mine, Bowden, he's got a retic that he's putting in a grow tent sort of enclosure or a greenhouse type thing. So I think there are other options out there opposed to the standard box.
Yeah.
But I think you really do have to think about it.
Definitely. So obviously, like I was talking to, I don't even know him, Dougie Smith from Reptile Chronicles. So yeah, he does a lot of walking enclosures that are made out of sheds. And again,
okay.
So you check him out. He's got loads of walk-ins. So he's got loads of big retics and walk-in enclosures. He's got a croc monitor and a big walk-in enclosure, and he does a lot of cohab stuff. But again, like you said, with the grow tents, it's very individual, dependent on the actual animal you're keeping, not the species in general. Like I said earlier, like you could have, I know someone who keeps peach throats in grow tents, and they do it successfully. But if I did it, that peach throat could be an absolute dick and try and get out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just depends on again, I don't know. I've never tried it, so I can't say it works.
No, I mean, I know some people have done them with a tegu, which I think would be absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't do it with mine because she tries to kill the glass as you walk through it. She's very, very defensive of her viv. Once she's out, you could put her on her back and tickle her stomach. She's lovely. But when she's in there, my only worry was that if somebody was to walk past, she would launch herself at it, and they're strong. A tegu is strong. I would hate for her to rip through it, and then you go, well, I can't just replace the glass because it's plastic, so I've got to get a whole new grow tent. I've then got to take everything out. It's a whole new setup. So you can't just temporarily put them in something and hope for the best.
Yeah.
So no, I do agree with you. I think it's very much animal dependent, as in the individual.
Yeah, and this is again like you said, you could put a raw python in there, But again, like with a corn snake, I do think that the wood is, or maybe even glass is a better option for a corn snake or a colubrid of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, if you got say you've got an arboreal carpet python, may work. But again, you'd have to trial it and see if it does work. You
Yeah.
can't say it's going to work because again, you can't just say okay, so I can get like a 8x4 or 8x6 whatever grow tent, and it'll be fine. Again, because some species don't like it too hot, some species don't like it too cold, some don't like it too humid. It just depends on the animal, like you said.
But what I like is the fact that there are people out there who have gone, I like this wooden box, but I think I can do better. So I'm just destroying my life. So yeah, there are people out there that are willing to push that envelope and learn more and go, excellent, I see what you've done and that's wonderful, but I'm going to try something different.
Hmm.
And I think there's a lot of people out there who go, well, this is my setup. It's been like it for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I love that. 10 years ago, you were spot on, but now.
Get rid of time there.
Yeah. It is, but it is, it's just having the balls to think about something different and just question what you're currently doing. And there are people out there. We know a few that are out there that will just try and push that envelope a little bit more, and just sort of go, okay, I know it's a guideline, I know it's a minimum, but does that have to be the minimum?
Yeah, like I definitely agree. Like obviously, with the shed I'm building, again, I'll go over everything. I'm not going to reveal too much because I want to make a documentary about it and document it all. I'll tell you about it after, but I'm going to say that the enclosures that I'm building will be amazing. They'll be overly sized for the animal. So
Sweet.
So obviously all the bigger lizard species, and I'm even going to try and build one for my berm as well. So it's all going to be try and replicate their natural habitat as much as I can in a big enough space that they can enjoy it. But again, like you said, it's just trying to push that boundary a bit more and try and get to get the standards up a bit more. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like I would definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Reptile keeping for sure. I haven't joined yet, but I do believe in what they are saying. Like we do need to push that narrative a bit more that we are not evil because we keep animals in boxes. We are a community, if that makes sense.
So there's a big thing, and I think I mentioned it when I spoke to Ben on his podcast. It's profit versus product.
Yeah.
Now, when you have certain places that put profit first, you then forget about the product. So with reptile keeping, it's yes, you have a Burmese python that's 14 foot long, that's in a 8x4x4 or whatever it is. That might be a little bit too small, but he regularly comes out, he regularly gets interaction, he gets mental stimulation. He's not just in there to live, he regularly comes out. So it's like a bedroom. Or you have the people that go, oh, there's a 20 foot by 20 foot by 35 foot. That's my Burmese python. I interact with him when I clean his poo out and throw a rabbit in.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was like my Burmese Cleo. She is on the smaller side because before I picked her was she had a good start in life, but wasn't the best, to say that way. Her brother was born the same time as her, and he's way bigger than her. So he's 8 foot and she's 5 foot, and they've been sexed. One's a male. But because I've had to check them by the vets where I work, and she's completely fine. She's a slow grower. I don't know if there's such thing as a runt in the clutch, but she's a bit small. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, I went to the vets, and they said that she was anorexic. She's ill, and I took her up to, because I work at the zoo. I volunteer at the
Mm-hmm.
zoo, and I get all my vets. I get everything done by the vets now up there, and they said she's completely fine. She looks healthy. Her skin's healthy. Her teeth are healthy. Everything's fine. Just try and monitor her and try different foods as such, which I do anyway.
Okay.
But do you see what the narrative? Like sometimes the vets just want
Yeah.
to make stuff for you. But again, like with the snake, she free roams all the time. Like whenever I'm cleaning her enclosure, I just put her on the floor and she just goes around the reptile room.
Yeah.
She'll go down the stairs, or she'll wrap around the banisters. She'll just sit there. Like I can
Oh,
trust.
don't.
I can trust that snake just to go anywhere she wants. She doesn't go downstairs because it's too cold downstairs. She likes to stay
Yep.
upstairs, so it's fine as long as I make sure the toilet's lid's pushed down. It's fine. But again, like you said, like you can have the biggest enclosure, right? I don't know why the thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you got the biggest enclosure, but you need to interact with the animal. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you need to get the animal mental stimulation. Just open the glass, tuck the food in, close the door, and that's all it gets. It shouldn't be like that. So
there's a lot of people that own royal pythons that have had them when they're small, and then they get bigger, and then they move too quickly in front of the royal python. It strikes at the glass, and then they lose all bollocks about dealing with it. And then they go, "Oh, I just open it to feed it, and then that's it." But I don't understand why it's aggressive. It's because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're teaching it that every time it hits that glass open, it's feeding time.
Yeah.
It's rinse and repeat. It's the same with when you teach a dog or you teach a cat, you teach an animal, you teach your children to rinse and repeat. If you do this, this will happen. If I continue to do it, it will continue to happen. It's the same with reptiles. And I think that's what a lot of people forget.
Yeah. So obviously, like again, like I will say is that most of animals are hands off with them, like, and with the feeding as well. Like some people feed their animals like once or twice, once a week or once a fortnight. I'll feed the animal when it's up at the glass or roaming around its enclosure. Like again, like this is the different. They need to eat so much, and it's like this different. But with snakes, if they're actively hunting for food, I will give them food.
Yep.
So with the royals, they get fed every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yep.
And they get like 2 medium or large mites, and that's it. Like.
Yep.
But I don't want my snakes. Like some people feed power grown. I'm not about that. If the animal is hungry, it'll look for food, and I'll feed it. If the animal's looking for water, I'll fill the water bowl up. I do the water every day. I keep bowls every day. It's another thing about reptile keeping. You know yourself, the water bowls. Fuck me, the water bowls. Jesus Christ! I'm sat in the sink and I'm with the toothbrush and cleaning everything up every day. And one thing with my water is done every day. Fresh water. Like I use RO water for everything. It's all mostly conditioned. It's fine. It's all like treated. With the feeding, the snakes get fed. Obviously, the diamond python gets fed every week. It's still a baby.
Yeah.
But obviously, the bigger ones are more yearlings, year and a half. So you get like 2 weeks, sometimes maybe 3 weeks. But again, it's when the animal's hungry and it's moving around looking for food.
So with ours, what we generally do is we obviously where we do events, we have to try and plan in when we're going to feed them. So sometimes it works, and sometimes we completely miss the mark. I know some of my snakes will go through their food or process their food a lot quicker than others.
Yeah.
So again, it's getting to know your reptile. But once they've had a poo, which is probably the politest way to put it, I normally leave it about a week until I then feed them.
Yeah.
But that's only from learning over the last 4 or 5 odd years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, if you don't, and this is the bit that Lara excels at, if you don't keep track of it, how do you then learn from it?
But you should see. Because obviously I was going to do the animal activity stuff, and I preemptively planned it. So I had a book that went back 3 months. I did 3 months in advance of the feeding logs for every single animal in my house. And from then until now, I've still got that book. It's just filled up with feeding logs and what they've eaten.
Yeah.
So, like, say I've gone on holiday, and my father would just look at the book and go, "Oh, I ate that on that day, so it doesn't need to be fed today." Do you know what I mean? So it's like, again, planning and stuff like that with the feeding logs. Like, it's definitely handy to have.
We've got feeding logs. I've got a red folder in front of me, which is like our everyday folder, which will have like our insurance, our animal activity license, DBS, policy documents, all that stuff that we've got to have for the license. I've got a day per page calendar for last year. So that will have everything that's got, if I've had to change a light bulb, if we've had anything pack tested, if somebody shed, anything.
Yeah.
And that is a page per day. And that is the best thing in the world, because then when anybody comes round, I can go bonk. There you go. Have a look at that. There you go. There's your information. They can have a look at the policy documents, which will have feeding schedules, roughly what the animals eat, stuff like that. And it's all there. So if I did go away, which I despise holidays because I can't deal with not stopping, it's the ability that I can go to anyone. Hey, Ken, look after my reptiles. And you go, thanks. That's, but that's what I want. I've got up on the wall, we've got emergency contacts and our vet's number. So then if somebody comes in and goes, oh my God, this leopard gecko's belly up or it's bleeding from the eyes or something, who do I call?
Yeah, the vet, yeah.
Fire extinguishers. I've got a little portable fire extinguisher there, and that's in every single room that's got reptiles. I've got bigger ones in bathrooms. But these are the things. I know it sounds stupid, but these are the things we have to have in place for not necessarily the animal activity license, but for my peace of mind.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I say I, but I mean it in the plural sense. But I've taken these reptiles on from homes that not always have been negative homes, because I've had some animals. I've had a snake that was from a loving home, and this gentleman cried when I took his snakes. It legitimately cried. He was really upset. So you take these animals on, and you want to make sure they get the best life possible. That's not just feeding. That's not just the enclosure. That's not just stimulation. That's if something goes wrong, what do I do?
Yeah, of course. It's
we have to have a fire safety plan for 46 reptiles. I have to be able to, if I had a fire, the fire brigade turns up and I go, bonk. There's a fire plan in these rooms. I've got lots of equipment. I've got lots of electricals. I've got lots of reptiles. And we have to have that, because if anyone enters, I want them to know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like obviously I obviously planned the reptile room in the bedroom with a back window, because on the back side of my garden there's a ladder anyway. I've got a ladder in my shed, so obviously if anyone needs to come out, I can just come out through the window down the ladder. Do you know what I mean? So there's always a plan. Like if I put it on the front, there's a long steep drop to the floor, so I don't really fancy dropping things out the window. So it's a lot to take in, obviously, with the animal activity license and business like such as yours, definitely. And I always love people getting into that side of the business, because the more education there is, the better it is for the hobby.
Yeah, so there's lots of pet shops. There's lots of niche animal shops out there that deal with aquatics, reptiles, birds, or whatever it is. But there's not there's not many places you can go where I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's just I say a British thing or an English thing. It's I'm going to get an animal from them over there, but I don't want to ask them the question in case they don't sell it to me. So I'm going to ask that person over there. But the only problem is there's not enough people over there for people to ask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when people come up and I've got Big Dan or Big Yellow, the Burmese pythons, and they go, "Oh my God, they're amazing. How big are they when they're born?" And you go, "That."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hang on." And you go, yeah. And, it's things like that.
This turns into this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But there's no there's not many people out there that will do that. There are, but I don't know whether it's that people don't want to do it because they don't want to have the negative from social media.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that start, as I said earlier on, lots of different bearded dragon owners, UK, Royal Python lovers, something, South England or whatever. And they're all Karens. They're all like, we know best. I've had a bearded dragon for 6 months. I know it's best suited on a puppy pad.
Basically, I joined a tortoise group, mate. Yeah. And I didn't own tortoises for long, like I got my tortoise 6 months ago as a rescue.
Mm-hmm.
He's so funny, mate. He lives downstairs. He's got his own basking spot in the living room and just sleeps there when it goes off. It's mint. So yeah, I was in the group and I was just like, oh, what did I say? So what wild weeds in the UK are safe for them to eat? And someone turned and said, like, I asked the question, what types of flowers are fine to eat for them, what are not? It's a genuine question, right?
Yeah.
And someone said, make sure you wash it, make sure make sure it's boiled and make sure it's fine. And, you should be just giving it vegetables. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you being a Karen? Do you know what I mean? Like, tortoises do eat weeds. They eat dandelions and stuff like that. But I didn't know if it's safe.
Our cell cutter Pancake is currently out mowing the garden.
Yeah.
Him and Ziggy are out there mowing the garden for me. They love it. We've left it purposely long so they can go and enjoy themselves. Now, when people say, "Oh yeah, but it's got to be boiled, perfumed, cooked anti-clockwise in organic goat's milk or whatever," I always say to them, "Okay, that's lovely, but what happens in the wild?"
Yeah, no, exactly. And if I didn't have a dog, and I don't really tend to my garden that much. Like, my dog takes a poo. I mean, I clean it when I cut the grass.
Yeah.
Because my fence is kind of blown down in a minute because the next door neighbour's got the landlord rented, so it's their fence and I'm waiting for them to deal with it.
Yeah.
If I had the fence up and everything, I'd let the tortoises roam in the garden and eat everything, and there's no dog here. It's different. But again, like my gardens at the moment, I left it purposely so I could pick the dandelion leaves to feed the tortoise. Once it's had its fair share of dandelion leaves, I'll cut it. Do you know what I mean? It'll grow back. But some people, like you said, are such Karens. Do you know what I mean? Like,
there was Lars loves doing this, and I don't know why, because she gets proper emotional about it, like proper wound up. It's a right old trigger for her. It really is. So she was part of a very similar group to you. It was a tortoise group, and they were like, "What do people think about feeding a tortoise grass? Oh, you shouldn't feed it grass. You should feed it hay." Hang on, isn't
grass hay anyway?
And I'm like, hang on, and isn't grass alive? So it's got moisture in it, which is what tortoises need because they don't necessarily drink. So
yeah.
And then I did one. I joined one and then very quickly left it after I upset somebody. It was a bearded dragon owners group, and they were very adamant the beardy life or the beardy substrate that the big reptile companies have done lots of research on. They've done lots of years selling it. She was adamant that it killed her bearded dragon because it caused impaction. So she now keeps it on kitchen roll.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean. So again, going back to the whole enrichment thing, what's the enrichment in a paper towel? But again,
Yeah.
we can't knock people for it, Jay. Like,
No, completely. I've got 1, 2, 3 beardies. My sister-in-law has got 2 at home, and they're all on not paper towels. Because everyone is behind a keyboard and they're all hidden behind that screen. They go, well, this is what I do and this is gospel. Do you know what? I'm so happy it works for you. And I'm so happy you found something that works for you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it's going to work for the others. I've got a bearded dragon who's got an underbite, or he's got an underdeveloped nose. So he's just got a jutty out jaw. If I put him on kitchen roll and something like that, he might hurt himself.
Mm-hmm.
You're forgetting that bearded dragons have got claws. So how do they then sort of like keep their claws down? By scratching and digging and stuff. You can't scratch and dig with one sheet for plenty.
So I tried the topsoil sand mix. Didn't work well for me, so I switched to, believe it or not, Leo Life for bearded dragons because it's a lot.
Okay.
It's rockier. It's got more rocky stones in it. It really helps with the digging as well because I put 2 bags in. No, sorry, 3 bags, and it's about that deep in there. And I've noticed started to dig little corners out of it, which is great for enrichment.
Yep.
Again, you can't.
Yeah. So Freya's got a corner in her viv that when she goes through that stage in her life where she's going to lay eggs, okay, they're slugs, but that is where she digs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She can't dig under lino flooring or kitchen roll.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know if that person's bearded dragon is male, if it's got no legs, if it's got half a brain cell. We don't know. But there's so many people out there that judge people.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, I don't really there's a few groups that I'm in on Facebook that like the monitor groups and stuff like that. Where people are advancing their husbandry and people help each other out. But then you get the other groups such as the bearded dragon groups, the royal piping groups, where it's a clique and
yes,
like I said, one person says something, they think that everyone should do it, and this is why I left all them groups. Again, like people do themselves, they do what they want, but I don't want to be their part of it. So again, all right, I've got one more topic to talk about before we start wrapping up.
Go on.
So what was your thoughts on bioactive and naturalistic?
Oh, you're trying to get me into trouble, you are. Okay, so in a nutshell, yeah, I know. So in a nutshell, bioactive is wonderful. It really, really is, and I do see the advantages of it. I really do. But the only thing that I would counter with is how can we say it's bioactive or what they would get in the wild when these animals are bearded dragons. They're not taken from the wild in Australia anymore because they're not allowed to be. So they're bred and they're put in rubs or clinical tubs until they're sold. So that is their natural environment because that's what they know.
Yeah.
So yes, it is wonderful for enrichment. And yes, there are some animals out there that would do better with a bioactive setup, chameleons, geckos, stuff like that. But I I think if it's enrichment enough for the animal and it's giving it everything it needs,
Yeah.
is there any need to push too far? I don't know whether that's the right words.
Right. So with myself, so like again, it depends on again the animal, the species. So Diesel is naturalistic enclosure. He's not bioactive again because he defecates in water. There's no point in doing the bioactive. You know, he likes them. He likes changing the little wood lice. Right, I tried it once and every single wood lice. Oh, isopod.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. And no really point really. I just change the substrate every 3 or 4 weeks. So I mean, it's cheap enough to buy a bag of topsoil. Bearded Dragon, they use Leo Life, so no need for isopods. Do you know what I mean? Just poo, clean it out. With the terrariums, the frogs, so like my white street frogs, they're naturalistic instead of bioactive again because they like eating small bugs. The crested gecko is bioactive because he likes his Pangea. He doesn't really eat insects. So again,
Yep.
he poos on the floor, they clean it up, brilliant. The frogs again, like all my big frogs, like Gumbo, it's not bioactive again because they with big so with your pixie frog, anything that moves, they will chase and eat it.
Oh yeah.
So I just picked up another.
Oh, for sure.
I just picked up another cane toad that you've seen on my Instagram, Bam Bam. So with her, I just did again naturalistic. I put coconut fiber, a few bits of cork in there so she can burrow in there. And I tried isopods, mate, and as soon as they landed on the floor, she ate every single one of them. So again, no point in that. But again, with the chameleon, I do bioactive the chameleon because again, I got the tree in there. They eat all the waste, the leaves and stuff like that. It's brilliant. Like it's bioactive is good for some things, but not for everything.
Yeah, so I've at the 3 chameleons we've got, I've got 2 in bioactive. The male panther is not because I want to be able to regulate, obviously, where he's got the little barnacles and that on it. So I don't want to put too much in there because I don't know whether it's where locusts have been left in and they've nibbled him and because it was too humid, it's not settled right or something like that. So he's not. But then I've got the mossy tail chewy gecko. He's in bioactive. I've got the cresty, the gargoyle geckos. They're in sort of bioactive. So yes, I do think there is definitely I say a market, but I don't really mean it like that. I definitely think there's a use for bioactive, but I don't think it has to be what everyone is trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. Again, you said, that is brilliant analogy, and then depends on the species you're keeping. Like, if say you've got an aggressive snake, let's say we get an anaconda, right? They're very good.
That'd be lovely. That'd be lovely.
I would love an anaconda, but I ain't got the space for it. But say, because they're very defensive when you obviously get. Bioactive would work for that in a sense because again, like they're not insectivorous, they're carnivorous, they eat mice and rodents. So
Yep.
Like I know the only thing is sometimes like when I had my yellow anaconda, she sometimes pee and poo in the water, but sometimes on the land. So, but the only thing is they don't like things touching them. Like I tried bioactive with the anaconda. It was okay for a while until the isopods started irritating her and she was going a bit nuts. So I just changed it back to naturalistic. It's all trial and error with the animal. It depends on the individual you're keeping, and it definitely depends on the species as a whole. Even if it's worth it, like you pay money, like loads of money for isopods and springtails, just think, is it worth it in the long run?
So yeah, completely. It is very much the individual. I've had some that I've wanted to set up as bioactive, and it just wouldn't have worked. It just wouldn't have worked. The royals that I've got, I would have loved to have set something up bioactive for them. But it just would not suit them.
Yeah,
it just would not suit them. So it is very much the individual. I say we're using the word individual quite a lot, but as humans, we're individuals. Some of us do better in London. Some of us might not. Some of us might do really well in a flat 20 stories high. Some of us might be good in a bungalow on the floor. We don't know until we try these things. It's learning that you might have a water monitor, you might have a royal python or something. If you try bioactive and it doesn't work, go, okay, it's not going to work for that. Let's try something else. If naturalistic doesn't work, you go, okay, that's fine. Let's just do a rack system. And I know people hate it, but do you know what? If it's going to do well in a rack system, put it in a rack system.
Yeah, then this is another thing with the whole rack thing. Like, it depends. Like, again, if you're a commercial breeder that's breeding royal pythons for, say for business, it will work for them. But people who just keep them in racks for the sake of keeping them in racks, you can keep a lot more. It's the Pokemon effect. And again, I
Yes.
don't agree, but that's my own feeling about it. Like, I mean, and like if you have the space to keep 4 royals in vivs, do it. But if you're breeding them,
Yeah.
you want to keep more than 4, then by all means, keep a rack. But it depends on the individual and how they feel about it themselves. And it's their animals, and they should, if they want to keep them racks, keep them in racks. And yeah, that's how I feel about it. So
Yeah. No. Completely agree. Completely agree.
yeah. So anyway, I've got one more question for you before we start wrapping up. So
Go on.
if you had advice for anybody starting in a hobby, what would it be?
Don't go into it thinking you're a pro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, by what I mean as a pro, not as in a pro, as in a professional, as in a pro, as in a premature reptile owner. Don't go into it going, I'm going to get a royal python. I've been on Facebook. I've done all this. I've read a lot of stuff. I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually talk to someone.
Yeah.
Actually talk to them. There are people out there that you can speak to, that you can invite round to your house or go to theirs and see their setups and actually learn something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't just sit there and go, I've joined 5 Facebook groups and I've Wikipedia'd ball pythons. Professional.
Yeah.
Don't be a premature reptile owner. If you want to get into it, think about it. Tattoos. Okay, I don't know if you've probably got tattoo on your arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to think about the design for your tattoo?
For 4 or 5 months, going backwards and forwards with my tattoo artist. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's on there for life.
There you go. 4 or 5 months for something that's going to be on your skin for life, or 4 or 5 months worth of research that's something that will last 15, 20, 25, 30 plus years.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. Like, they say, like on the care guides, like on the internet, the expected life expectancy of an animal. So say like a bearded dragon is like 10 years, right? But that is wild life expectancy, not in captivity.
Yeah.
So like I know someone who's got a 30-year-old royal python, and they've had it from a baby, and it's like that's a big, that's a really good commitment to that animal. Do you know what I mean? So these animals that are being, they've been bought, and 2 years later they get given up, and they, like you say, they go to the centre. Someone will eventually pick the animal up, and they'll get a love in life. But just before you do it, like you said, think hard. If you want something to keep 12 years, get a dog.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, it's harsh, but or if you want something short, get a rabbit, get a guinea pig, get a hamster.
Yeah.
Reptiles are a huge commitment.
Yeah. Like I said to my nephew, he got one of my a royal python that I got from Riddler. He gave me 4 and my nephew loves it. And I told him to think hard about it before he did take it on. And he's 12 years old and he loves that snake. He's out every day, then enrich himself in the garden.
Brilliant.
You know what I mean? He's looking after it, he feeds it himself, and like his light bulb blew the other day and he went on his own to Pets at Home and got himself a new light bulb for it. Do you know what I mean? That is a commitment. But, you know, like I do say to people, like, if you want a short-term pet, go for a mantid and stuff like that. You know, they live for too long.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm going to start wrapping up now, Jay. Thank you for coming on. Just hang around. We'll talk to you.
No, thank you so much. I will do.
Just hang around. I'll talk to you after, mate. All right. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Love you to see you. Mate.
Cheers. Cheers, mate.
So that's been episode 6 of the Reptile Chronicles podcast. If you do want to follow us on socials, I'll leave all the links in the description. If you want to go check out the merch store, remember 50% of the profits go to National Centre for Reptile Welfare. And if you want to check out the Patreon and see the behind the scenes access, I will leave a link for that too. I've been Ken. Thank you very much for listening to a controversial conversation on different things. And yeah, see you on the next one. Peace out. Thank you very much for watching.